A new report suggests that former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May is believed to be leaving All Elite Wrestling for WWE, with her AEW contract set to expire later this year. We've got all the details on that. Plus, AEW announces the date and location for the New Japan crossover Forbidden Door pay-per-view from London, England later this year. Jeff Cobb reportedly is on his way to WWE after his departure from New Japan Pro Wrestling was confirmed. Chelsea Green reportedly is set to miss this year's WrestleMania 41 event. Could the Good Brothers be on their way to New Japan Pro Wrestling to team up with AEW's EVP, the Young Bucks? We got the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown on USA Network. An update on Hook after he was spotted vomiting in the ring in the main event of AEW Dynamite last week. An update on Drew McIntyre after he suffered a nasty cut to his head on SmackDown. Triple H announces several upcoming international event destinations for WWE. More details on The Rock's social media post that featured him wearing a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt. And WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes is confirmed for the WrestleMania 41 Go-Home edition of SmackDown. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see it right there. We are less than 200 subscribers to go until 21,000. The goal this year was to hit 20,000. We've already done that by the middle of April. And we're less than 200 from 21k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. As you can see right there in the sidebar, you can scan the QR code to join the WN365 roster. Link's also in the video description below. You can click the join button. And be sure to join us when you're looking at the sidebar for all upcoming watch-alongs, including Friday's edition of SmackDown, the WrestleMania 41 Go-Home edition of the show, plus the post-show. Then the next day, we've got NXT Stand and Deliver, followed by WrestleMania Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday, and the Raw after WrestleMania. It's one of the biggest weeks on the pro wrestling calendar, so be sure to join us for all the upcoming live streams. Right, let's begin with a major update when it comes to former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May, because it looks like Mariah May could be on her way out of All Elite Wrestling ahead of joining WWE. Dave Meltzer has reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that people in WWE know that Mariah May wants to sign with the company, with Brian Alvarez adding that there is belief within AEW that May is indeed headed to World Wrestling Entertainment. Meltzer said, quote, "I know from people in WWE, they know she wants to go there. I don't know when her contract is up. Everyone seems to think it's the summer." Alvarez then said, quote, "I was given the impression it's a 2-year deal that she signed originally, so you can do the math. I have heard the same thing, at least in AEW. There's a belief she's heading to WWE." Meltzer further noted that when he spoke to people close to Mariah May before she signed with All Elite Wrestling, that he was told her dream is WWE. Speculation around Mariah May's future arose after she posted on Instagram, quote, "You can't make the wrong decision because every decision leads you to where you're supposed to be." We covered this story yesterday. Be sure to check it out. Of course, May signed with All Elite Wrestling in November 2023, and she's been a featured talent on AEW TV ever since through her initial alliance and critically acclaimed feud with timeless Toni Storm over the AEW Women's World Championship. The Storm vs. May program came to an end at March's Revolution pay-per-view, with Storm winning their Hollywood-ending blow-off match. May has not been on AEW television since the loss. Now, reports earlier this year noted that several within AEW believed that May's contract was set to expire in the summer of 2025, although it was unclear if her deal had option years. If we get any more details, we'll let you know, of course, in a future video. Speaking of AEW, a big announcement was made today regarding Forbidden Door 2025. All Elite Wrestling have officially revealed the venue for AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door 2025 pay-per-view. As many assumed, Forbidden Door will be held at the O2 in London, England. It was announced several months ago during All In 2024 weekend that Forbidden Door would be taking place in London on Sunday, August 24th, but the venue for the show had yet to be revealed. As many had assumed, Forbidden Door will be held at the O2 in London, England. It was announced several months ago during All In 2024 weekend that Forbidden Door would be taking place in London on Sunday, August 24th, but the venue for the show has yet to be revealed. This may have been due to WWE's arena contracts, which traditionally prevent shows from another pro wrestling company from being announced close to their own events. WWE recently held SmackDown and Raw at the O2 on March 28th and March 31st. Beyond Forbidden Door, All Elite Wrestling will debut in Scotland with tapings of AEW Dynamite and Collision on Wednesday, August 20th. The show will be held at the OVO Hydro in Glasgow. Tickets for Forbidden Door and the Dynamite/Collision tapings will go on sale Friday, May 2nd, following a pre-sale which begins on Monday, April 28th. All Elite Wrestling debuted in the United Kingdom with All In 2023 from Wembley Stadium, one of the biggest pro wrestling shows of all time. All In 2024 also took place at Wembley, and AEW ran Dynamite and Collision tapings in Cardiff, Wales ahead of the pay-per-view. Now, going back to WWE, and it looks like Jeff Cobb indeed is headed to World Wrestling Entertainment, following the announcement that Jeff Cobb was leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling after the promotion accepted his request. Cobb's next destination has been revealed. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter has reported that people within WWE have confirmed Cobb is starting with the company soon. When exactly Cobb will make his WWE debut is unknown, but he's not planned to be Randy Orton's opponent at WrestleMania 41. Cobb had been expected to leave New Japan after it emerged in mid-March that WWE were interested in signing him, and that Cobb may have already been listed on the organization's internal roster. Cobb's departure was still sudden, though, as plans were seemingly in place for him to main event wrestling Don Taku against Hiroki Goto in early May, and he was one half of the reigning IWGP Tag Team Champions with Callum Newman. Meltzer noted that Cobb didn't have much interest in joining All Elite Wrestling, and that, when observing the situation, Cobb believed WWE was the best place for him at this stage of his career. Cobb will turn 43 in July. Cobb has wrestled for New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2017. He is a 3-time IWGP Tag Team Champion, 1-time Never Openweight Champion, and 1-time New Japan World Television Champion. He will have his final match in New Japan against Hiroshi Tanahashi on April 19th. Of course, this weekend is WrestleMania, but it looks like Women's United States Champion Chelsea Green will not be present on either night. While plans could change, Chelsea Green is currently not planned to be involved at WrestleMania 41. That is according to Fightful Select, who reported that Green was not scheduled for WrestleMania as of this past weekend. There had been pitches for Green to host WrestleMania, but those pitches had not moved beyond that stage. It was noted within WWE that Green could be added to the WrestleMania show in a skit or a segment once the format for WWE's biggest show of the year has been finalized, but she has not been added to the event as of yet. Green has been a popular talent on WWE television since returning to the company in January 2023. She became the inaugural WWE Women's United States Champion at Saturday night's main event in December, although the original plans called for Green to win the belt at a different show. WWE WrestleMania 41 will be held at Las Vegas' Allegiant Stadium on Saturday, April 19th and Sunday, April 20th, including the pre-show and post-show. Each night of WrestleMania has a scheduled runtime of 9 hours. Now, let's go over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and could a former WWE tag team be set to return to the promotion? A video message from Matthew and Nicholas Jackson aired at the New Japan Windy City Riot event, with the Young Bucks challenging the Bullet Club War Dogs to an 8-man tag team match, with the Young Bucks hinting they'd be bringing some familiar faces with them to team. Many fans have speculated they could have been talking about Luke Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. New Japan has now officially announced this 8-man tag team match for the May 9th Resurgence show in Ontario, Canada. While the Young Bucks' 2 teammates are officially listed as mystery opponents, New Japan highlighted the Young Bucks' use of the term OG Buddies when describing their tag team partners. Now, the official announcement has led many to believe that Gallows and Anderson will be the mystery tag team partners. This duo were notably part of Bullet Club when the Young Bucks first joined the faction, with Carl Anderson being one of the founding members of the group back in 2013. In addition to their Bullet Club ties, the Good Brothers are closely associated with the term original following their run as the OC, the original club in WWE, which further adds the speculation that the OG Buddies the Young Bucks were talking about could be a reference to them. Obviously, Anderson and Gallows were released from WWE on February 8th, meaning their 90-day non-compete clauses would end on May 9th, the day of Resurgence. Now, going from New Japan over to SmackDown, the ratings are in for last Friday's episode. The road to WrestleMania has almost reached its conclusion, with WWE's biggest weekend of the year less than a few days away at the time recording. Fans got even more excited about the showcase of the Immortals following the April 11th episode of SmackDown, which saw Rey Fenix continue his winning ways following a successful debut. Tiffany Stratton defeat Roxanne Perez, and Cody Rhodes returned to WWE's Blue Brand to promise the fans that John Cena won't be leaving the company with the undisputed WWE Championship. SmackDown bounced back in the TV ratings when WWE returned from their European tour, and the ratings remained fairly steady with the April 11th episode as well. The Programming Insider confirmed that the show averaged a total of 1.551 million viewers, which despite being a 2% decrease on the previous week's 1.578 million viewers, it is a 4% increase on the trailing 4-week average that currently sits at 1.490 million viewers. It was a similar story in the 18 to 49 demographic too, as SmackDown posted a 0.45 number, a 4% drop from the 0.47 posted last week, but a 2% increase on the trailing 4-week average of 0.44. However, the biggest victory for SmackDown this past week was that the show returned to first place in its primetime rankings for the entire evening, with its closest competition being Shark Tank that aired on ABC. SmackDown also took first place in the 25 to 54 demographic rankings too, beating out Fire Country that not only aired on CBS but was the show that earned the most total viewers for the evening. WWE will look to boost these ratings with the April 18th episode of SmackDown, which will feature the final stop before WrestleMania 41 and feature several WrestleMania go-home segments. Now let's go back over to AEW and talk about Hook. Now you may have noticed this on Dynamite this past Wednesday. At first glance, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday seemed like a happy moment for Hook after he choked out Wheeler Yuta to give himself and the Ops stablemate Samoa Joe the victory over Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli. But things went south once the cameras stopped rolling, and as the former FTW champion was spotted throwing up in the ring, making some people fear that he'd suffered a concussion during the match. According to Dave Meltzer, however, there's no need to worry. Discussing Hook's queasiness on Sunday's Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer confirmed that Hook didn't suffer a serious injury. Quote, "He threw up, but he didn't have a concussion," Meltzer said. "That's what I found out." Now, Meltzer said he was unable to confirm what caused Hook to vomit, though his co-host Garrett Gonzalez suggested that Hook may have entered the match already feeling under the weather, or possibly even feeling nerves. It should be noted that Hook was attacked after the match by Castagnoli and landed stomach first on the legs of a steel chair after Castagnoli hit him with a neutralizer. It remains unclear if that also would have contributed to Hook's condition. However, he did vomit before that spot even happened. Now, fortunately for Hook, his clean bill of health means he'll be on hand for AEW Dynamite Spring Breakthrough this Wednesday, where he will wrestle one of the biggest matches of his young career. Alongside Joe and Katsuyori Shibata, Hook will challenge Castagnoli, Yuta, and Jon Moxley for the AEW World Trios Championships. The match has already been affected by injury, of course, as Moxley will step in for Pac after the latter suffered an ankle injury last Wednesday whilst wrestling Swerve Strickland. Speaking of injuries, an update on Drew McIntyre after SmackDown. So far, the road to Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight at WrestleMania 41 has been a pretty violent one. It was only a few weeks ago that McIntyre was driven through a windshield by Priest, resulting in him getting glass caught in his eye, only for McIntyre to return the favour this past Friday by attacking Priest from behind and ultimately laying him out. But during their scuffle, some couldn't help but notice that McIntyre had plenty of blood on his hands, though he had no obvious cut anywhere. A day later, McIntyre revealed on Instagram that the cut had occurred actually on the top of his head. Only hours earlier on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer had confirmed the same injury and revealed just when McIntyre suffered it. Quote, "It was funny because you never saw any blood, except he keeps going to his head, and he's got blood all over his hands," Meltzer said. "What happened was he had his head run into the steps, and legitimately up here he got cut, and you didn't see it through his hair, but it was bleeding a lot, but you didn't see any of the blood, except his head was covering the blood. He's fine, I know that, so he was cut there." In his Instagram post, McIntyre suggested that the cut was a reopening of an old wound, seemingly confirming this was the same gash he suffered during his Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk back in October, which McIntyre required 16 stitches to close up. Fortunately for fans, the cut will have little factor in McIntyre and Priest's upcoming match at WrestleMania. Now, Triple H, he's been talking a lot ahead of WrestleMania and also spoke about the possibility of more international PLEs. WWE has begun to expand its number of international events over the past few years, including big premium live events in France, Cardiff, Glasgow, Berlin, and Perth over the past 3 years. WWE recently held a European tour where Raw and SmackDown were held in numerous cities across Europe, such as Brussels, Barcelona, and Bologna, as well as WWE announcing they would return to Paris in August for Clash in Paris. Speaking to Andrew Schultz on Flagrant, Triple H commented on WWE's recent string of international shows, noting there are events incoming in Mexico and South America. He said, quote, "This year we'll be in Paris, France. That'll be off the charts. We're going to Perth, Australia again. The Middle East is always off the charts. We haven't even touched in South America, going to Mexico. All these things that are upcoming and we will be doing." Now, there had been a lot of talk on social media, hadn't there, when The Rock posted these photos on Instagram wearing a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt. Now, given that he was the orchestrator behind John Cena's shocking heel turn on Cody Rhodes at Elimination Chamber, it seemed a safe bet to assume The Rock was going to be heavily involved in the build-up to Cena and Cody's match at WrestleMania 41. So far, however, that's not only been inaccurate, but it's been wildly inaccurate. Since Elimination Chamber, The Rock hasn't appeared on WWE TV, and more curiously, has been scarcely even mentioned, leading to speculation regarding just what is going on with The Rock and WWE. That speculation grew over the weekend when The Rock posted a photo on Instagram of him wearing a New Japan shirt and looking at a Rubik's Cube. On Sunday's edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer attempted to decode the meaning behind The Rock's post, starting with the Rubik's Cube, though he admitted he was merely guessing. Quote, "There's many different guesses you can do," Meltzer said, "but the Rubik's Cube, clearly, I think the idea is we're one step ahead of you guys, and whatever the shirt is meant to lead to, all kinds of speculation that we're ahead of you." Turning his attention to the New Japan shirt, Meltzer thinks Rock is trying to convince people one of two things. Once again, Meltzer noted this was guesswork. Quote, "It's either something that will make people think they're going to do some deal with New Japan, or make you think that The Rock is unhappy," Meltzer said, "that he's been iced out of WrestleMania promotions, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, he's going to show up on Sunday and do what he's going to do on Sunday." So we'll wait and see. If we get any more details, we'll let you know. And finally, Cody Rhodes has been confirmed for the WrestleMania 41 Go-Home episode of SmackDown on Friday. Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes will be a part of the April 18th episode of SmackDown. John Cena was already announced for Friday's episode, which is the final SmackDown before WrestleMania 41. Of course, Rhodes will defend his championship against John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 41. Sunday, of course, will be live for SmackDown and every night of WrestleMania. So there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. As you can see right there, less than 150 subscribers to go until 21,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. You can join the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You click the join button, or you can scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. More videos coming soon, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.